What's up, basketball fans? Welcome into another episode of All Things NBA. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, here with Austin Payne. We are less than 2 weeks away from Media Day, less than 3 weeks away from real preseason basketball, and a little over 30 days away from NBA basketball. How you feeling, Austin? Are you hyped or what?
Man, excited. Yeah, there's been some distractions of college football and NFL starting, but all it really makes me realize is that I am missing the NBA. So looking forward to it all.
Yeah, same. Especially with my college football team being the most useless Power 5 team in the entire country.
Yeah.
But that aside, we're going to start off kind of how we start off every episode. We're going to do a little Mavs, we're going to do a little Thunder, and then we'll jump into some generic NBA talk. And Austin has got some Mavs questions for me, so let's dive right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're still in the middle of the kind of off season where literally nothing's happening, but some stuff that I saw circulating on Twitter that I think you shut down a little bit, but I was still curious kind of first on the status of Anthony Davis with this eye surgery that he had. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a detached retina, which, by the way, happened during, I believe, the Atlanta Hawks game in which Anthony Davis scored like 35 points, hit a game winner, looked amazing. Probably his second best game as a Maverick besides the debut game that he had. And then he still played through it. I don't know anything about a detached retina. I know that like post-surgery, you have to lay face flat and like you have to like just do nothing for like a couple weeks. And so the rumor is, according to Stein, that he is not fully engaged in basketball activities. But part of me is kind of like, is anybody really fully engaged in basketball activities right now? I mean, we're still,
Right.
again, 2 weeks away from Media Day, which I know it's getting closer and closer. And there's a chance that this could go very poorly if he's not ready for opening tip of even preseason. Like, I want to see him in preseason. But ultimately, I'm not stressing that much about it. I think this is something that he's just being eased into. Who is he getting clearance from? Like, is it doctors that haven't cleared him? Is it just like Mavericks personnel that hasn't cleared him? It's still very speculative at this point. Now, Stein is very plugged in. He knows his stuff. And so I don't think he would just throw it out there if there wasn't a little smoke behind it. But it's not something that I'm ultimately super worried about.
So the stuff that I saw mentioned him possibly not being available for opening night of the regular season. Is that crazy?
That I think that's crazy. I think that
Okay.
the tweet or the way that Stein said it in the pod, so that he was doing on the DLS podcast, and the question, like the prompt of the podcast episode was, what are your big questions, or what are some of your overarching questions for the Mavs this coming season? And like his question that he posed was, how is Anthony Davis going to look on opening night? And people took that into kind of a way of him saying, I don't know if he's going to be ready for opening night, which sure. I mean, you could say he
Right.
might be questionable because we don't know where he's at in his recovery, but I think it got way overblown. Nowhere did Stein ever designate him as like, hey, he's going to be listed as questionable for opening night.
Right.
That would
Okay.
just be crazy. We're 35 days away from it.
Okay, that makes total sense. Cool. Yeah. So my other kind of thing, also injury related, saw I think from you some videos that were circulating of Kyrie getting shots up in the gym, and honestly, I thought moving pretty well. I've been on record saying that I don't think he's going to come back as early as some Mavs fans do, but then you see a video like that, and you're like, man, maybe all this talk of December, January isn't actually that crazy. That's still months away, and if he's already playing basketball, he's moving around in the gym a little bit, then how could he be in 3 to 4 months? So is there any update on that? What are your thoughts there?
No real update. I think it's just more positive momentum in the right direction. I've always said that December is like dream scenario for Kyrie Irving's
Right.
return. I don't think it's going to be December. I really don't think it's going to be January. I think February is probably what we're looking at. Some people have even said March, just because of how late in the season he suffered that torn ACL.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the movement looked amazing. I was looking at some stuff from actual doctors that were saying stuff like it's pretty normal for what he's moving like, but it's encouraging to actually see it on film, because we don't see that a lot in like ACL recovery, right? Like we don't see videos of these guys, like what they actually look like on the court until it's time for them to actually get back on the court. And so, yeah, I think people took it and ran with it. I probably took it and ran with it a little bit too far.
Sure.
But overall, it's just encouraging. And, unfortunately, the name of the game for the Mavs next season is going to be injuries. And when your second best player is already out for the first 3 months of the season, it's like, you're going to take anything you can get. Anything you can
So
get.
you would,
you're going to run.
in your opinion, you'd probably put money on him being back around either right before or right after All-Star break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would, in
Okay.
my unexpert opinion.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's where I'd have it. I also think,
Okay.
ACL recoveries and stuff like that have just come so far. It's not what it used to be where it's like career altering. Is he going to
Right.
be 100% of what he was last season, which was an all-star? Maybe not, but I still think he's
Yeah.
going to bounce back better than a lot of guards used to bounce back from ACL
Sure.
injuries.
Sure. Yeah. I'm really curious to see him. We've got a lot of ACL injuries that have happened recently with Thunder players. None of our main guys, but Topic tears his ACL right before the draft last year, slides down the board, lands at the Thunder, and we didn't see him till this summer. And what I saw with Topic, and I kept up with him quite a bit while he was playing in EuroLeague. So again, I'd seen him well before he debuted for the Thunder. He definitely looked rusty. Now, there's a huge difference between a player like Nikola Topic and Kyrie Irving. Like they're not even in the same stratosphere. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm kind of curious to see. Like, will he come back ready to go? Will he come back with? Because I mean, Kyrie's just what makes him so incredible for me to watch as a non-Mavs fan is just the way that he handles the ball, the way he moves. And so I'm curious to see if that's there immediately when he comes back.
Yeah, again, I think the Mavs have a pretty solid plan B with D'Angelo Russell. I still
Yeah.
think to this day, like it was an underrated signing for what they were able to do.
Yeah.
He's not Kyrie Irving, and I hope fans aren't expecting him to be Kyrie Irving. But I think they'll be able to stay afloat without Kyrie. And if we're being honest, I mean, D'Angelo Russell is a better passer than Kyrie Irving, which is really what Dallas is going to need. Now, everything else I think he's probably worse at, but
Right.
passing wise, I think he's a little bit better. And so we'll get to see him, run the offense and run the show. But yeah, I mean, speaking of ACLs, we'll dive into the Thunder stuff.
Yeah.
Sorber we're recording this on Tuesday evening. He just officially had his ACL surgery. So I know he wasn't ever going to be like a mainstay in the rotation
Sure.
year one, but like, what are Thunder fans feeling? Where are you at with this Sorber injury?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it sort of feels insignificant because, although, yeah, mid first round draft pick, like he's a guy that you would expect to see play, except he's on the championship winning team that didn't lose anybody. So, like, you don't expect to see a lot of minutes from him. But what I think non-Thunder fans don't realize is that this is pretty significant in one big way. So, Isaiah Hartenstein's got a team option at the end of this year. All Thunder fans have heard is that if Sorber could rotate in and show some promise, the Thunder were likely to decline Hartenstein's team option and move on from him. Not because they don't want him. Like, I think if anything, Hartenstein's year in Oklahoma City and what I expect him to do this year is just going to up his price. Like, I think he's a guy that could be a starting center on a lot of teams or a heavy rotation guy that could make money. So I do think it changes things. Like, I think you now seriously look at, hey, can we renegotiate? Can we decline the team option? Can we renegotiate a deal to keep Hartenstein in Oklahoma City? Because you can't go back to just Chet. I think Chet at times is better at the 5 than he is at the 4, but he can't be your sole option at center. So yeah, it's not a huge deal in the sense that we weren't going to see Sorber starting like you would some high draft pick on a different team. But I do think he was going to play. Like, I think he was going to get significant minutes for the Thunder. And I was excited about his potential, still am, but now we're a year away from that. And again, I do think it changes how Presti looks at the roster at the end of this year.
Well, the thing that I would be most worried about, besides the having to pay up somebody else, like Sorber played like what 8 games in college because of
Yeah, it wasn't a
injuries, and
lot.
it's like you're starting to look at the player and you're like, man, okay, hoping it wasn't like hoping it was just a fluke in college, but now,
Right.
okay, I haven't even started on an NBA floor and you tear your ACL, like that is a scary thing. I mean, I think about it with Derek Lively, a little bit of a bigger scale than the Mavs, but Lively in college, like had some injuries at Duke, and then his rookie year he plays 50 games, and then the second year it's like, okay, we're down to 40 games. Like I think a lot of Mavs fans, we love Derek Lively. Everybody's all in
Right.
on him, and he is such a great talent. But year 3 for Lively is kind of like, all right, dude, like if you can't stay healthy, we're gonna have an issue. And Sorber, obviously very early on, but similar track record, at least to start
Yep.
his NBA career. And so it's unfortunate. I
Well,
know there was a post, right, that you shared that he was like someone touted him as the most well-rounded
Yeah,
prospect or
so
well-rounded center in the draft.
yeah, and that wasn't just me like kind of sunshine pumping as a Thunder fan. I think everyone thought Malawak was the highest ceiling center available. So like in no way would I say like if they're both available, the Thunder shouldn't have picked Malawak. They definitely should have. From a development standpoint, from a kind of physicality standpoint, he's got an incredible build. He had the longest wingspan in the draft. Yeah, many different outlets thought he was the most complete kind of NBA ready center. Now, it didn't mean he was going to be perfect by any stretch. He was going to have his growing pains, but he was less developmentally looked at than someone like Malawak. So I was super excited to watch him when, when you win the title and you don't shift around a whole lot. Really, the only thing you've got to look forward to that's new is your draft picks. And now Sorber's out a full year, so we'll have to wait on that. But the Thunder fans are getting very used to that. With Chet's injury, with Topic's injury, feels like most of our first round picks take a redshirt year.
That is a really weird pattern. I didn't even think about Chet also taking that first year off. That is wow, interesting. Yeah, and then I mean you kind of get Topic, so you have a rookie. You got a rookie to watch. I mean, and you have Barnheiser's on a two-way. We'll see if he ever contributes anything. Like you'll get to watch him in preseason. But yeah, real bummer. He didn't play in summer league for a different injury, right? Was it the injury he was recovering from?
Same injury he was recovering from in college. I think an interesting thing that Thunder fans can watch from him. I think as far as durability wise, he needs to lose some weight. He is about 265 pounds. The dude is massive. He was the heaviest player on the Thunder roster over Hartenstein, over any of those guys. And so I think if he could drop some pounds, that would probably help a little bit. But again, I think he's a naturally big guy. And when you're on the bench because of an injury, it's probably hard to keep some weight off.
Mavs fans know a thing or two about that. Chunky players that can't stay on the court. Love them, miss them. Anyway, let's go to the different team in LA, not the Lakers. We're gonna talk about the Clippers today because they're in some hot water. And if you guys don't know the story, you're either living under a rock or you're not really a huge NBA fan, or you're not on Twitter, as chronically as I am. But basically, here's the lowdown on Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard signs with the Clippers. Obviously, he was with the Toronto Raptors and then signs with the Clippers. All signs were pointing to him going to the Lakers in that offseason. And then, boom, Clippers snag him. Like they get him out of nowhere. The rumor is, or not the rumor, the report is that Kawhi Leonard signed an endorsement deal with a company that went bankrupt shortly after for an additional $28 million. And that company was like endorsed by Ballmer or was like, I don't know all the official details, but all this mess. Basically, long story short, the report is that they were finding creative ways to get around the cap space. So they paid Kawhi all this money. And then on top of that, they gave him this little nice no-show work deal that he never had to do anything for, never had to do. It was like a tree planting company, never had to plant a tree, and got this free 28, now reporting up to like $50 million, which is just insane. I mean, in all reality, why is any superstar signing with the Clippers? It's starting to make me realize, okay, they were signing with them because they had access to all this extra money. The Clippers aren't some great franchise by any means. Besides being in LA, they don't really have a lot going for them. I think this is one of the craziest stories we've heard in years.
It really is. And I mean, something that I thought was funny today, I saw a report that the Clippers are trying to keep their books clear around 27 when Jokic and Giannis would potentially hit free agency if they opted out of their contracts, which you're just like, dude, no one's dumb enough to go to the Clippers anymore. But yeah, I mean, again, the details of this are weird. But what I think people can like objectively say is that like something is up. Like, there's rumors you hear all the time about weird stuff that people will never get punished for, that teams won't get punished for. This is not what that feels like to me. I was listening to Windhorst talking about I guess there's a second owner for the Clippers. He's like a 1% shareholder. And they found basically charges like donations that he had given to his company for almost the exact amount that Kawhi was like a week later getting paid as bonuses and all this kind of stuff. So something's going on. I think the thing that I'm curious about at this point is just like, I do think there are going to be consequences. I just don't know what it is. Will it be a suspension? Will his contract get voided? Who knows?
So here's what I found. So there's a little precedent for this. There's only one other situation similar to this in NBA history. It was in 1999. Joe Smith, who was the number one pick at the time, went to the Warriors, ended up signing with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And there was a lot of shady under the table payment going on. very like way, way less than what the Clippers are being like framed for right now. It was like a much smaller deal at the time. But the Timberwolves were found guilty of doing some shady stuff and they got fined or they got 5 of their future first round draft picks taken away. So like the next 5 years got those all taken away. Their GM had to stay away from the team and the coach had to stay away, or president, I think, had to stay away from the team the entire following season. And this is for Joe Smith, who is like,
Right.
yes, he was a number 1 pick, but he wasn't like, he's not Kawhi Leonard level.
Right.
So that's the precedent. However, there are rules in the cap situation. Like there are rules sailed out. So this is what I found: the possible punishments that they can have. For Kawhi Leonard, void his contract and prohibit him from signing with the Los Angeles Clippers. Require Kawhi Leonard to return the money he received from aspiration, and then a fine for up to $350,000, which is chump change if you're getting paid $50 million. The Clippers' potential punishments would be fining the Clippers up to $7.5 million, again, chump change, forfeit draft picks, and then suspend Steve Ballmer or other team personnel for up to a year, and then fine them $1 million each.
Gosh.
I think, I mean, as an NBA fan, I think the most interesting thing would be seeing his contract voided.
Yeah.
Like, now, then you kind of run into the dilemma of like, okay, does Kawhi Leonard really deserve all these punishments? Or do the Clippers just deserve
would it really
punishments?
be
like,
a punishment if he signed a veteran minimum at Oklahoma City and won another title?
But he doesn't care about that. He clearly does not care about winning. He is, if this is what worries me a little bit. I would love to see him get his contract voided. I think if he was off the Clippers would be basically dead in the water next season.
Yep.
I already have questions about them, but if Kawhi's gone, that's a whole other story. If he's gone, he's obviously signing with the Lakers, right? Like,
yeah,
it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's just going to the Lakers because going to want to stay in LA. So
yep.
That worries me a little bit. The other interesting thing I found, Kawhi missed, I think it was like 40 games, one of his first 2 seasons with the Clippers. And he missed all like 40 of those games with just like right knee soreness or something. And it was like in the timeline or something that he like was not getting paid with aspiration. Like he wasn't receiving his endorsement deals. And so there is some shady stuff. I think teams will be absolutely livid if there's not a hefty punishment on the Clippers for this one.
Agreed. Which the weird one though is like if his contract isn't voided, none of those punishments are that bad for the Clippers. Like, yeah, if you lost, your next 4 or 5 first round draft picks, that could be significant for sure. But if they allow Kawhi to stay and he just has to pay some back and Ballmer's just got to stay away, I mean, I just almost feel like they would consider that a win.
Well, and the other thing with the draft picks for the Clippers is that they don't have that many to give up going forward. Like they would have to go out to like 2030 to even start taking draft picks away, which that could really hurt you. But like,
sure,
their window is now with Kawhi Leonard
right.
anyway. So it's like, why that's not going to matter to them, I guess, that much. So, and also if they don't void the contract, what's going to like, I feel like other people, they're just going to find ways to keep doing this. Like other players and other teams are just going to keep finding ways to do this. The person that I wish would shut their mouth on this is Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban just keeps going at Pablo Torre, who made this initial report, and keeps like calling him out for it. And it's kind of making me like, I'm like, Cuban, did you like do something like this? Like, why are you defending Ballmer? And he's also best friends with Ballmer.
Sure.
Well, I mean, Dirk's set for life. I think Cuban's got him no matter what. But yeah, just some, I don't know. I wish they would look into the Jalen Brunson signing with the Knicks thing because that one was just as shady to me. They already gave up 2 draft picks, and I think there was more that went on that they should be fined for, but that's never going to happen. Anyway, that's Kawhi. Let's jump to that other Lakers team. You got a little something you want to hit on here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure the possibilities that this actually comes to fruition, but there's been a lot of talk. Probably one of the bigger topics people are talking about outside of Kawhi Leonard is the possibility of the Lakers trading for Andrew Wiggins in Miami. Now, I like it. Like, I think it makes sense. Luka, apparently, you'd know more about this than I have, but everything I read is that this is the second time Luka has wanted Andrew Wiggins. Like, I guess he was interested in getting the Mavericks to trade for him. He's clearly interested in playing with them. He's a big, really good 2-way wing. Definitely think his best days were probably with Golden State, but stats were still really good last year, 17, 18 points a game. Like, he's a really, really good player that I think would make the Lakers better. But I kind of had 2 things I wanted to throw out and get your opinion on. First, do you think that, but before we even talk about what they would possibly have to give up, do you think Aaron Wiggins or Andrew Wiggins coming to the Lakers would make them a contender? Because I've been in a few Twitter feuds with Laker fans over the last few days about what that signing would mean. Like, I think it would clearly make them better, but I don't think personally that pushes them from a first round exit to like a title contender. But curious your thoughts.
I mean, I already have so many questions about the Lakers. There is a chance that if Ayton is good, which you all know I don't have a lot of love for Ayton. If Ayton's good, if Marcus Smart is anywhere close to Defensive Player of the Year player, Marcus Smart, which I don't think he is, um, and then you add Wiggins on top of that, yeah, I think you could. There's a realm of possibility that the Lakers are a title contender. All that with the understanding or the expectation that Luka Doncic is going to be MVP level Luka Doncic
Right.
and stay healthy. Uh, in all reality, I think there are already too many questions. I don't think they have enough shooters on this team. I don't think they have enough defenders. I don't think Wiggins is like a huge step up in the defensive department. He did a great job against Luka when the Mavs played the Warriors a couple years ago. That's why Luka, I think, wanted him so bad, wants
Yeah.
him so bad on the Lakers and wanted him on the Mavs. But offensively, I don't think he brings enough. Like, what's your starting five at that point? Is it Luka, Wiggins, LeBron? I mean, I don't know. Do you start Marcus Smart? I guess it's Luka, Smart, Wiggins, LeBron, Ayton. Like, you still have
Bring
three of your five players are defensive liabilities.
just
So
bring AR off the bench.
yeah, I forgot about Austin Reeves. I don't know. I don't know.
There's
I'd have
like
too many. I
there's a
just still have too many
world
questions about the Lakers.
there's just a lot of weirdness going on with the Lakers where you can almost convince yourself, kind of like you just said, where if everybody's playing to their potential, they could be really good. Like, I don't mean this as a dig at all. Like, clearly LeBron James is either the first or second best player in the history of the league. I just feel like eventually, even for him, time is going to catch up with him. I'm waiting for it
I mean, we
every
saw it
year.
last year.
Right.
I just am baffled at people that still say like he wasn't a top 10 player last year. He just was
I
not.
agree.
Now,
I agree.
he was second team all NBA, so I guess by that standard, yes. But like if you factor in all the players that got injured and didn't make the cut because of the 65 game rule, like he was not a top 5 player or top 10 player.
Yep.
And he also has become a defensive liability. He just
Yes.
has. Like he's still, again, I think he's the best player of all time. He is still a great passer. He can still do some freakishly athletic things for his
Yep.
age. But who's his backup? Like, is Rui
Right.
Hachimura coming in and being his backup? Like, yeah, I think
Well,
there's too many questions with that team.
that's the next point. So there are a few different options I have seen floating around. I think there are really only a few different packages that the Lakers could put together to get Andrew Wiggins away from the Heat. It sounds like they are interested in a first round pick from the Lakers. I'm not sure the Lakers will be willing to give that up, but what I have seen thrown out there is a first round pick, Dalton Connect, and expiring salary money. Now, I don't hate that. I think of the possible trade options, that might be the best way to secure him. Like, Dalton Connect actually started last year great. Like, I thought he was going to be a really good player. I mean, obviously, I think he's limited in what he can do. He faded a little bit. So, like, I'm not that worried about the Lakers losing Dalton Connect if I'm a Laker fan. Now, I don't know what pick the Lakers have available. I was under the impression that they only had one left after the Luka trade. And, well, I guess that could be the one. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like, does that package make sense to you? If you are making that call for the Lakers, do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Lakers, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I think
Yep.
Dalton Connect at this point is, I don't want to say damaged goods, but like in a weird way, he is because they already basically traded him. And
Yep.
then like the trade got rescinded and things were weird. Your expiring salaries are guys like Maxi Kleba, who I think his best days are way behind him. I've watched
Yep.
him just completely wither away with the Dallas Mavericks in his final season. other than that, I don't really know what other expirings they have. And like you said, I don't know what real draft picks they have to offer up to the Heat and that actually have the Heat interested. Um, if I'm the Lakers, I'd do it 100%.
Yeah.
If I'm Miami, I don't
So
really know why you're just dying to get rid of Wiggins right now.
see, that's kind of the question I have, and I think it probably has to do with that pick. That I think a more likely scenario for Miami to take it is this second package, and this is a 3-team deal, so bear with me for a second. But it would involve the Lakers receiving Wiggins, Jacquez Jr., and Drew Timmy. The Heat receiving Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and $10 million of trade exception. And then the Nets receiving Kleba and cash, basically. So this exact like kind of proposal, it's not, no one knows, but this is the kind of thing that I've seen floating around more is a 3-team deal and the Lakers losing Hachimura.
Wait, who do
Me
the Lakers get? The Lakers get Jaime Jaquez and Andrew Wiggins in this deal?
and Andrew Wiggins in this deal, losing Hachimura, Connect, Kaliba, and I believe they're first, which is what makes it a little more interesting.
I think Jaquez and Wiggins are more valuable than all that combined. I think Jaquez is I love Jaime Jaquez Jr. He didn't have as great of a second year, which interesting rumor that I'll throw out there. There were rumors that Eric Spoelstra was hitting on his girlfriend. I'll keep it PG and just say hitting on Jaime Jaquez's girlfriend. So there was some tension in the locker room apparently. But I think he brings a lot. I think he would be immediately like the 6th man on the Lakers, and then Wiggins has a starting spot. So again, I would still do this if I'm the Lakers. I think that sounds like, I don't know. Again, Kleba and Connect are damaged goods.
Yep.
Hachimura is fine. He's a bad defender. But then the first is going to hurt. But again, your window with LeBron, like if you're trying to win with LeBron and your window with Luka, like, yes, he wins in the future, but he's also like, it's right now. He's 26.
Yes.
Go win with him right now.
And there's a part of me that just thinks that first round picks in LA just don't mean as much as they do to anyone else. Like the Lakers just clean up in free agency. And so they could build a team without any first round picks around Luka Doncic with no problem. So I agree. Like, I think both of these situations, you take them, and everything I read, which again, the exact details, who knows, but that second trade proposal that I just gave to you seems to be something that Miami is a little more interested in. And if they are, like, I don't know what the Lakers are waiting on. Like, I think everything I've seen is that there is a little bit of hang up on whether or not the Lakers want to get rid of that first round pick. I don't know why. Like, I just can't foresee that being a great pick anytime in the near future. Like, as long as you've got Luka, I mean, yeah, you could have a bad year and wind up at the very end of the lottery, but I don't know. I don't see why they're that worried about hanging on to that.
The very end of the lottery is a good place to be these days.
It sure is. It sure is. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Like, I think the Lakers are such a weird team because I've gone on record and I think Luka is going to have that MVP season. Like, whether he actually wins the award, I don't know. I just think he's going to be incredible. I watched most of Eurobasket, thought he just physically looked amazing. I don't want to get people too hyped on his defense, but like he looked really good. And so I don't know. Like there's this weird thing with LA where you're like, they have Luka, top 4 player in the league. LeBron is still LeBron. He's still a useful player to have. You've got a good scorer in AR. You've got a really like high ceiling, but also low floor center that if he hits that ceiling, you're kind of like, well, maybe they are just a Wiggins away. But then the flip side of it is like, okay, they make the Wiggins trade and Luka gets injured and center rotation doesn't work out at all. And then they're without a pick and they've got these guys that are mediocre players that are playing without Luka and they're playing with a 40-year-old LeBron and it just doesn't work out. So I don't know. I just would kind of like to see them make a move all in one way or the other.
I was gonna say either way, like the Wiggins trade is not, it's like, I think it's a very low risk.
Agreed.
Maybe somewhat low reward, but like very low risk deal. I think you do it. I mean, the Mavs, I mean, going back to Luka days and attaching that, what you were saying, like The year the Mavs traded for PJ Washington, which is the year we made the NBA Finals, the original plan was go get Andrew Wiggins.
Right.
And so they really wanted Wiggins. They couldn't figure out a way to get a deal done. And it just never happened. I was convinced the Mavs were going to end up with Wiggins at that trade deadline, but it just never happened. So, yeah, again, and then I go back to Miami. Like, Miami is the most like mediocre play-in bound team. Why are they like, why go get Norman Powell? Why, like, are you holding on to anybody? Just sell everything. Go get more picks. Like, I don't know. I think they could get a better offer. Like, if they really offered Wiggins on the open market, like, dude, that's a guy that I could see the Thunder wanting. Like, why not?
Sure.
Like, go get like, if they wanted to, like, you know, pawn off some draft picks and get rid of the Usman Jang contracts and stuff like that. Like, anybody could. I think a lot of teams could beat the Lakers offer if they really put Wiggins on the open market. But we'll have to wait and see. I do think the Lakers are at least one move away from being true contenders.
Agreed.
And probably with like a Wiggins, it's probably like 1.5 trades away from really being contenders. But that's about all we got. I mean, that's really all there is. We've got 2 weeks till media day, and stuff is going to really start ramping up then. Appreciate all you guys that are tuning in, hitting the subscribe button, following us on Twitter. We're going to start ramping this thing up. Austin, tell them where they can find you.
Yep. All things OKC on Twitter, all things Thunder, same on TikTok. So building that following up. It's again, a really dry season right now in the NBA, but it is right around the corner. And man, once October hits, we are nonstop. And I expect both the Thunder and the Mavericks to be hanging around and relevant come late April, early May.